In this video demonstration, we're going to show you how you can separate images that are predominantly orange, for example, or maybe red, but using a neon pink toner or ink on your press. Now, there's a little bit of trickery involved with this because the mathematics behind this is that you're trying to replace magenta pixels with the pink, but pink isn't the same shade as magenta. It's a lot weaker. So you have to try and factor this into it. And this is what we're developing with our Touch 7 Photo Pro solution. But you can get there doing the kind of like a two-step approach by using our Touch 7 Photo ECG plugin, which was developed for bringing out extended gamut areas. So areas that are harder to achieve out of CMYK, it creates a separation. And it will give us a great starting point to be able to do this. So first of all, let's just press an orange button. So we're going to generate an orange separation here. And this would normally be picking out areas that are, it's not going to be achievable in CMYK to get more pop. So these deeper, more saturated orange areas. And that's what the separation is creating. So it's creating this extra touch plate to print on top of the image to boost the saturation. Now this is where we're going to actually do some working on this because we need to assign this to a pink channel. So I'm just going to go back over to my neon separation tool, so that's Touch 7 Photo Neon, and I'm going to press the pink button so it generates me a pink plate. And as you'll see, there's literally no colour coming on that pink plate, but that's fine because all we want is that orange separation. So now we're going to go select all, edit, copy, go onto the pink channel and paste. So basically we're putting the orange channel into the pink. Okay, so that's getting us somewhere there. Now, the other thing to be aware of is that there are different ink sets with different machines. So for example, HP Indigo has different inks compared to Ricoh, compared to Xerox. And just to demonstrate that, we do have a master swatch palette that we've now developed in partnership with our main partners. So you can download this from the Touch 7 website. There's the Touch 7 default colours in there. And just to show you, like I was saying, HP Indigo, for example, they've got a fluorescent pink and a vivid pink. And you can see that those two inks are very different. If we compare that to Ricoh, Ricoh's ink is different again. It's a more magenta-y, cleaner pink compared to the vivid pink from HP that's got a slight blue tint to it. And then if we look at the Xerox machines, so Xerox has now brought out their fluorescent pink for the Iridesce, and you can see that is a very pale pink in comparison to Ricoh's and HP's. It's more like a bubblegum pink, none of which are close to the magenta. So you can't just take the magenta pixels out and replace it with pinks, it won't match. And then obviously on the Versant, they've got a different colour as well. So this is where the palette comes in. So double click on your pink channel, and then click on the color box so it brings up your color picker. Now you can go through and you can assign it to the ink in that system. Okay, and you can see here if we went through, we can make it a blue, we can make it green, but all we're going to do here is assign it to an ink for a specific press. In this instance, let's do it to Xerox. Let's close down these ones so we can see what we're doing. Okay, so that's assigning the LAB value for the Xerox fluorescent pink that's used on that press. Now, the other thing to be aware of, let's just go into our RGB image, go into our foreground background color picker. Let's just measure that color. So that color has a certain LAB value, and it's telling us here that the magenta component of it, approximate component, is only about 60%. So even at its full strength, when printed on press, it can only get to about 60% of the way to a magenta pixel. So this is where you've got to really try and push as much pink into that image as you can without degrading the image. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into this channel, the pink one that we just created. Now, if we wanted this area to be the most pink or the most orange part, then we need this bit to be 100%. So we're going to open up our levels, and I'm just going to go for my slider point here. I'm going to push that up to the start of the histogram. So what's happening if we open up our image box here, you'll see that our color's been pushed up towards the 100%. So as soon as this measures 100%, we know we're getting there. Let's just push it up a bit more. So we're roughly about there. So you don't want to go too much, because if you do, you're going to start filling your image in. You can, if you want, to put more orange pop into the midtones. You can play with these sliders and push a little bit more in if you want. So let's just do that now and just push a little bit more into that design. Okay, so now we've got our pink separation done. Now what we need to do is remove that pink channel from this image. And that's where the cool part comes in with Touch 7, is our system that's called Source Color Removal. It says take this image that you've now created with that LAB value and subtract it from this image. So on your RGB channel or CMYK, click this button. Now the SCR tool does need to work in RGB mode, and it will flatten your image down because it cannot do it on its separate layers. It has to be a composite image. So just be aware that it will separate it in RGB. You can then convert it to CMYK if you want. So let's do that now. So now let's just switch off the neon pink. You will see that that image now has gone more like a yellowy kind of color because it's going to be reproduced with that pink color. Okay, so this is what we want to show you now, is that Photoshop is not very good at showing you colors correctly on the screen. You can separate an image to a multi-channel profile, but it cannot display an image like an RGB and a spot color correctly on the screen. What we're actually seeing here is an RGB profile, okay, for the RGB image. And the RGB image is an additive color space, okay? Now a spot color is a subtractive color space, and it can't show you two opposing color spaces at the same time on the screen. It can only show you through the RGB profile or an additive space. So what it's doing is it's actually subtracting this from the preview. And as you can see, it looks completely wrong. Now, if we change that to CMYK, it's going to get closer, but it's still wrong. It's looking a little bit more towards the red side, and this is the downside with Photoshop when you're working with multi-channel profiles, when you're actually putting color into an image and not just using it as a solid area. You know, what it doesn't know is it doesn't know what your profile for your press is. It doesn't know what anything about your machines. And again, it can only show you a CMYK profile with this color adding on top. So what we can do here is a little tip and trick. If you go back into RGB mode, and I'll just duplicate this so you can see what's happening. So this is going to be my composite preview. Just select the RGB and that spot color, go to the flyout menu and go merge spot channel. It's going to merge that spot channel back into the RGB image. And now you can see what the color will look like when it goes onto the press. So that's it. That's the way to be able to achieve orange looking images using Touch 7. Now, admittedly, you have to use two different products at the moment, but we are trying to code it all to get it all built into one system. So we'll have one pro version that will have all the neon cyan, the pinks, the yellow buttons, and all our ECG plugins, and the way to be able to separate it for oranges and other colors like violet. You know, there's a lot of color ranges out there that can be achieved using the Touch 7 system. So it is going to grow. We're going to develop on top of this. Now, I'm just going to show you a couple of other things as well, is that images are always going to be different. So, for example, orange here is a very pale orange. So, you know, you've got to think about each image quite correctly. Now, we can do a perfect separation. So I'm just going to demonstrate that now. Pink, I'm going to do an orange separation. I'm going to do a pink button. I'm going to take that, paste it into the original, and I'm not going to manipulate it here. This is just the color that it's brought out. So if I now do my pink SCR, and I then merge all that back together, it should look like the original image. So if we go back to our original there, you can see that there's absolutely 100% perfect image separation has been done there. But that doesn't mean that it's going to look any better than this original image. If this image could be printed out of CMYK and look like that, all you're doing is printing that image out of CMYK plus pink to look the same as what the CMYK image does. And that's why we're saying that you have to go back sometimes and just boost up as much as you can in that separation before you use the SCR. The more you put into the separation, the more it will take out of the image. So let's just do that one again. Let's go in here, let's do that orange separation. This time we're going to set the shadow and highlight again. So the deepest, most orange part is orange and everything else is tonal. Now you can also do this using auto tone. So go image, auto tone, and it will do that for you. Now we're going to go back and do that pink channel. We'll copy the orange channel into the pink. Then we'll do our SCR, and now you'll see that it's removed a lot of color in the background. Making that in CMYK, so we'll get rid of any color contamination. And there we have, as close as possible to the original RGB image. Again, if we turn that to RGB, and then convert that, merge it, you'll see we've got that bright orange image again. So, great easy ways to do this, and it works with other images as well. You know, it doesn't have to be orange. If you want to start doing it with like a red color, then we can do the same. So we're going to demonstrate this again on here. Now the difference between these two buttons, orange and red, the orange doesn't just look for orange colours and the red doesn't look for just red colours. These are based on the different types of inks on machines, because not everybody has orange, green and violet. Some machine manufacturers went down the route of red, green and blue. So the red and the orange button actually generate the same separation. It's just what ink will be assigned to it. So that's what we're doing here, is assigning an ink. So you can see here, I'm going to zoom in so you see the accuracy and the complexity of that image separation that's being done. It's a very, very good separation tool. Of course, you're always going to get some dot contamination in some skin tones, because different people's skins are more red, some are more orange, some have got fake tan, and you know, it's hard to really do a full mask correctly, but you can airbrush these things out if you want. And that's where we recommend using the dodge tool. So go to dodge, go to highlights, set it to about 25%, set your brush size, and then you can, if you want, go in there and just airbrush little bits out and tweak your design. So if you don't want to have any issues with skin contamination, just go in there, tease that color out a little bit until you've got your design. I'm going to do the same on here. And if you push down a few more times, it will eventually rub everything out, but it's a great quick way without really affecting any of your shadow area, which is what you're wanting. Okay, so that's fine. I'll be happy with that. Let's get rid around this nostril area. Okay, so I've now got that done. Again, go in here, set my shadow and highlight points. So you literally just bring it to the start of the histogram, so the deepest, most reddest point on that design is 100%. Again, on this one, what we're going to do is go over to the neon plugin, create a pink channel, and then we're going to copy that into the pink, get rid of the red one, and then do pink SCR. So now that image should look more like an orange color, which will then be compensated by that neon pink as well. So if I merge all that back in, it should look like a red image. And there we have it. So that's what we can do. Now, after you've done all this, if you find that you're on press and it's looking a little bit weak, you can always go back and just boost it up. You know, it is Photoshop after all. You can push as much ink into that as you want. But just remember, sometimes if you go too far, like we did on that orange image, you notice how on the orange image it went slightly like a luminous green. That's because it's trying to force color into the image to be compensated. So you can only push it so far. Just going to merge that one in again. So there we go. We've got a little bit more punch in there, a little bit more redness. So there we go. Really quick, easy way to use our master swatch palette for our main technology partners. These are all being pre-measured in, supplied to us by our partners, so they should be correct, we hope. And then using the combination of Touch 7 Photo ECG with Touch 7 Photo Neon. So if anybody has any questions or concerns on how this works, do contact us at support@touch7.co, and we'll be happy to do a little demonstration video for you. It's easier to us to make a video and send it to you to show you what to do if you're struggling with something. But as you can see, it should just be a case of click, assign the correct color, and then do the SCR. Okay, thanks. Have a great day.